Okay, Hare Krishna. We come back to the session on chapter 2, the section where Krishna explains how a person falls down from higher consciousness to lower consciousness and how to rise above. Or Krishna gives a proactive solution that will help us not even to fall actually. In the material world we see whatever help is available, personality development, self-help programs or different counseling, psychology sessions, they provide some patchwork, band-aid solution. So after the damage is done, they provide some patchwork. But here, Krishna not only gives the solution how to rise above once a person has fallen down, but he also gives a technique that will prevent us from not falling at all. Okay, that prevent us from falling. Okay, so it's a proactive solution. And as we discussed last class and the week before, it all starts from desire. The process of falling down, it all starts from desire. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate sangat sanjayate kamaha kamat krodho vijayate. Desire. So if we have even at least one desire, to fulfill that one desire, we become slave in the hand of that desire. Not only that, we become a slave in the hand of everybody in the entire world. We'll become, just to fulfill that desire, we'll become a slave in the hand of everybody in the world. On the other hand, if we become a master, and if we make the desire as our slave, then the desire will become slave in our hands. Not only that, but the entire world become slave in our hands. So what can be a good example for the first scenario? We becoming a slave in the hand of desire, and we becoming a slave in the hand of everybody in the world. What's an example for that?
Someone has access to earn more and more.
Somebody has a desire to earn more. Okay?
Than required.
Okay. Anything else?
It's very common, like desire for money, luxury, latest gadgets, could be car, desire for such a luxurious lifestyle,
Yeah.
power, fame. All these desires is very prevalent in human beings.
Yeah, these are good examples. You are definitely dependent on few people here. Okay, to get more money, you are dependent on your manager, your team members, and so on. But give me a classic example where you are dependent on the entire world. You are a slave. You are a slave in the hands of everybody in the world. Not just few people, but you are a slave in the hand of everybody in the world. Internet? Okay. What about internet?
You can't live without internet. But internet is controlled by the rest of the world. I mean, content that is coming in internet.
Okay. Something more specific.
Popularity or fame?
Acceptance.
Acceptance.
Be accepted by others.
Okay.
Desire to be accepted by others. Please.
Very easy. It's very easy.
Getting birth.
Getting birth. No, getting birth, you are dependent on just the parents, right? Not the entire world.
No, after that we'll run our day-to-day life. We will be slaves in everyone's hand, right? Directly or indirectly.
That's a good one.
You will be a slave to the parents for the food. You will be slave in school for something. You will be slave. So getting birth itself, like in every step of the life, we are actually indirectly being a servant to someone.
I don't know about all of those things, but a husband is definitely a slave in the hand of my wife. What do you say, Ankita?
Prabhuji, desire of Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Desire of receiving the praise from others.
Desire for what?
To receive the praise,
To receive praise.
appreciation in the hands of others, like slave of others.
Yeah, that people already said in the class here in person. Something very classic that you see every day. Anyone online?
Money?
Money. Okay, yeah, to get money you are dependent on few people, not everybody, right? We're not dependent on, for example, somebody is in China. We're not dependent on them. Yeah.
Your mind is a slave of your senses. Slavery of senses. Your intelligence is a slave of your senses.
Yeah.
Environment, water, air.
No, for those also, these are the basic needs. You are dependent on few people. If you are living in Sammamish, you are dependent on Sammamish Plateau water and sewer district. There are just few people there. The classic example is social media. Facebook, Instagram, YouTube. You post some, or WhatsApp. Now WhatsApp, okay, you are dependent on few people, only to your contacts. But you post something on YouTube, you post something on Instagram, and the next second you open and check how many people opened it, how many people liked it, how many people viewed it, how many subscribers. Huh? And that subscriber, the viewer can be from anywhere in the world. Not just Seattle, not just India, not just US. It can be from anywhere in the world. And the
Jai
more
Sivanarayana. Swami, anywhere from world to know. We are from Madurai.
So we are dependent on the entire world. The more number of viewers, the more number of subscribers, the more happier you are. And it can come from anywhere, right? So that means our happiness is dependent on them. We have a desire to be happy, which is the basic desire. The Jiva Atma, by nature, the nature of Jivatma is to be happy. Anandhamayobhyasat. Okay, that's the intrinsic nature of Jivatma, to be happy. But we are trying to find that happiness here in a wrong way, and social media is one example. We are dependent on others' action to be happy. Okay, so if we become a slave in the hand of desire, we have just one desire. We posted one post on Instagram, but we became a slave in the hand of everybody in the entire world.
I mean, internet is like, without internet we can't get access to social media, any other information, news.
Yeah. So it all starts with desire, and if desire is not fulfilled, dhyayato vishayan pumsaha sangasteshu upajayate. So the contemplation leads to attachment. Attachment leads to strong desire, which is lust. And then if the lust is fulfilled, you will become greedy. The lust is not fulfilled, you'll get angry. Okay? Krodhat bhavati sammohaha. Anger leads to illusion or delusion. Sammoha smriti vibramaha. Loss of memory. Smriti bramshat buddhi nasho. Loss of intelligence. And buddhi nashat pranashyati. Total destruction. Not just nashyati, but pranashyati. Pravishta rupena nashyati. Total destruction. So, see, if a person has fallen from, let's say there are 20 steps, okay, in a building. If a person falls from first step or second step, the danger is minimum. But if a person falls from the 20th step all the way to the down, then it's a total destruction. The person may die, or the person may have severe injuries that will take long time for him to recover, or certain parts of the body may not even recover actually. Okay, so before it is too late, we need to stop this problem at the root level. So what is the root? The root is dhyana. Dhyayato vishayan pumsaha. The contemplation, meditation on sense objects. Okay. And what is the solution for that? The solution for that is to meditate on Bhagavan, Nama Rupa Guna Leela. So if we become attracted to the Nama Rupa Guna Leela of Bhagavan, and if we get absorbed and attached to him, then we will not even have time. We will not have, even if we have time, your mind will not be hankering for sense objects. You will be self-satisfied. You will become Atmaram. You will become self-satisfied and you will not even think about sense objects. So that's a simple technique. And it comes with practice. It does not come in day one, right? It comes with practice. So slowly we need to get attracted to Bhagavad Gita. We need to get attracted to Ramayana. We need to get attracted to some kirtans, bhajans, stotrams. We need to get attracted to Bhagavatam. We need to get attracted to some seva, either garland making or cleaning the temple, cooking in the temple, book distribution, preaching, whatever you are interested in. So slowly we'll get attracted to Bhagavan's Nama Rupa Guna Leela. At that time we'll become Magna Chittaha. Magna Chitta means we'll be completely absorbed. Or Chitta will be complete, or consciousness will be completely absorbed. Okay. Last week we discussed 64 also, right? Ragadvesha vimuktaistu vishayan indriyaischcharan atma vasher vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. We were talking about how a saintly person, how a true sannyasi engages the desires in the service of the Lord. He is free from raga and dvesha. Raga is attachment or attraction. Dvesha is hatred. Raga dvesha vimukta. A saintly person, he is not attached to the sense objects, nor is he completely nor does he completely have hatred towards sense objects. But his purpose is or his mood is engagement. How to engage senses in the service of the Lord. Okay? No attachment, no hatred, but engagement. Proper engagement in the service of the Lord. Vishayan indriyaischcharan atma vasher vidheyatma prasadam adhigacchati. So Krishna tells here, but a person free from all attachment and aversion. Aversion is that hatred. And able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. So we know what's the problem with attachment. The problem with attachment to sense objects is we develop strong desire and lust, hatred, lust, anger or greed. But what's the problem with the aversion to sense objects? Aversion means hatred. What's the problem?
They end up with causing some harm to themselves.
Okay, yeah, that's a good point. So aversion means it's artificially keeping the objects away. So that artificial renouncement, artificially renouncing sense objects, artificially detaching from sense objects, that can be harmful to a person. For example, if a person is used to like eating 3 times a day, and part of the sense control or part of the austerity is to eat only 2 times a day. And if a person develops aversion to eating 3 times a day, and he stops eating 3 times a day immediately, and he eats only 2 times a day, that can disturb his metabolism and digestive system, his overall health. So slowly he has to implement that austerity in his life. In small quantity, he has to reduce the food, and in the breakfast, instead of eating full heavy breakfast, maybe eat small quantity. Instead of eating 10 idlis, just one idli. So something like that in smaller steps. That is one. Another problem with aversion to sense objects is like the yogis. They go to Himalayas in the name of renunciation and sense control, but they have artificially renounced everything. Now, when they are sitting in Himalayas and meditating, is their mind calm and peaceful? No. So there's a very famous joke. If you go to a person in a village and ask, what do you want to do? Where do you want to go? What's your goal in life? The person in village, he'll say, I want to go to Hyderabad. And you go to Hyderabad and ask a person, what's your goal? Where do you want to go? He says, America. And you come to America and ask a person, where do you want to go? Maybe a person will say, I want to go to New York. Right? Let's say, for example. And you go to New York and ask a person, where do you want to go? The person may say, I want to go to Himalayas. And you go to Himalayas and ask a person, where do you want to go? He'll say, I want to go to New York. So it's not easy. Artificially renouncing from sense objects is not so easy. But if you are engaging the senses and sense objects in the service of the Lord, yes, that can be practical. That can be practical. For example, there are so many objects in this room. There is a table, there is a chair, there is a phone, there is a this thing, laptop, the carpets, everything is there. We are using all these things for a good purpose, in the service of the Lord. We are doing Shravanam here. We are hearing Bhagavad Gita. For that, we have built this temple, and we spent so much of money, and we bought all this furniture. So we are not rejecting anything. We don't have aversion to the comforts of the building. We are using all these comforts in attracting people, how they can come to this temple and learn Bhagavad Gita. Sometimes people ask question, if the temple is spending 5 million, 10 million, people ask, why do you waste money on building temples like this? Why don't you give the money to charity? There are so many people who are, suffering without any food. Why don't you give the money to them? If we don't, there are two ways of building a temple, right? Or opening a temple. We can open a temple in a small hut, okay? In a very austere building, very low class building and simple building. But how many people will be attracted to that? How many people will come? Looking from outside only, they will think, oh, this is a temple. I am not even interested in this. It doesn't even look good from outside. They will not even come. But if the temple building is nice like this, with state-of-the-art facilities, then people will be attracted to come inside and take part. So we don't have aversion to matter. We don't have aversion to sense objects. We don't have aversion to the worldly things. But our goal is how to use these objects in the service of the Lord. That's the goal. Okay. 65. Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajaayate.
Prasade sarva dukkhanam hanirasyopajaayate.
Prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi paryavatishtate.
Prasanna chetaso hyashu buddhi paryavatishtate.
Prasade, on achievement of the causeless mercy of the Lord, sarva, of all, dukkhanam, material miseries, hani, destruction, asya, his, upajayate, takes place, prasanna chetasaha, of the happily minded, he, certainly, ashu, very soon, buddhi, intelligence, pari, sufficiently, avatishtate, becomes established. Did we discuss this last week? Okay, this word ashu We discussed about Ashutosh, about Shiva, right? So did we discuss this shloka then? For one, yeah, we discussed. For one who thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. Yeah, we discussed this. There's no purport also. Okay, anyways, that's a good revision. So basically in the 64 and 65, 64 Krishna is telling that if a person is using the senses and sense objects without any raga and dvesha, raga dvesha vimuktaistu, then such a person becomes eligible for the mercy of the Lord. Prasade sarva dukkhanam, prasadam adhigacchati. In the previous shloka, Shuddha 64, prasadam adhigacchati. Now once that mercy is available, then what happens? Prasade sarva dukkhanam hani rasyopajayate. All the miseries in the material world will be gone. They'll be gone. Because every day we are suffering with so many problems. There are so many dualities, good and bad, right and wrong, victory and defeat, honor and dishonor, all these things. And there are problems created by our own body and mind, problems created by other living entities, problems created by nature. We are constantly bombarded with all these problems, the threefold miseries. But a person who becomes eligible for the mercy of the Lord, he becomes satisfied within, and for him these problems do not even exist. Even if there are disturbances, for example, there are missiles now going on, right? But a person who becomes eligible for the mercy of the Lord, he is not disturbed. Even if there are missiles, even if there are wars, even if there is pandemic, they are not disturbed. By the way, another pandemic is coming in 2030. Are you all ready? So recently I saw some interesting data. We have all these 1G, 2G, 3G, 4G, 5G, right? The same year in which these Gs are invented, these Gs were developed, the cellular network technology basically, right? In the same year, there was a very disastrous pandemic. The next G will be 6G, which will be in 2030. So they are predicting that there will be another pandemic in 2030. Because whenever this newer version of the cellular network is implemented, right, it causes more radiation, more damage, and more usage of cellular network, more usage of the phone, more usage of internet, right, which causes these problems. Especially it causes respiratory problems. It causes respiratory problems because of radiation. And as a result of respiratory problems, there will be people will be prone to these virus attacks, and there will be widespread pandemic. So we'll see. 2.66. This is a very, very important, beautiful shloka. 2.66. Nāsti buddhir ayuktasya na cāyuktasya bhāvanā.
Nāsti buddhir ayuktasya na cāyuktasya bhāvanā.
Na cābhāvayataḥ śāntir aśāntasya kutaḥ Sukham.
Na cābhāvayataḥ śāntir aśāntasya kutaḥ Sukham.
Na asti, there cannot be. Buddhi, transcendental intelligence. Ayuktasya, of one who is not connected with Krishna consciousness, or of one who is not connected to God. Na, not, cha, and ayuktasya, of one devoid of Krishna consciousness or God consciousness. Bhāvanā, fixed mind. Na, not, cha, and abhāvayataḥ, of one who is not fixed, shanti, peace, aśāntasya, of the unpeaceful, kutaḥ, where is sukham, happiness. One who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? So this is a very important point here. There cannot be happiness without peace. So peace is the prerequisite to become happy. Peace of the mind is a prerequisite to become happy. And how is that peace achieved? Peace is achieved with a steady mind. Steady mind. Nāsti buddhir ayuktasya, cāyuktasya bhāvanā, cābhāvayataḥ śāntir, aśāntasya kutaḥ. So steady mind leads to peace of mind. Peace of mind leads to happiness. But how to achieve steady mind or steadiness of mind? How to achieve that?
Bhakti.
Bhakti, okay. That's a general answer. You can say Bhagavad Gita class. You can say Bhagavad Gita. You can say Krishna.
Not attracted to things and keep mind, not attracted basically from things.
Not getting attracted to the sense objects. Okay. What else?
Krishna conscious. Krishna conscious.
Krishna consciousness. Okay. What else?
Limit desires.
Huh?
Limit desires.
Limit desires. Simple living and high thinking. Okay. Control on desires. But how to control? How to control desires?
Understanding the reason for everything, like be it Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, and learning from it, like what is the reason for desire?
Yeah.
Asking questions and gaining knowledge, satisfying ourselves with that knowledge, that would give steadiness.
Yeah.
As you said, Prabhuji, we can't control our senses, but we can move our senses direction towards Krishna. So if we keep engage our senses for Krishna consciousness, then we can remain a steady and stable mind, and then we'll be peaceful and leading to happiness.
Yeah. Okay. So basically, actually, this is discussed in the future chapters, chapter 3 and chapter 6, the art of mind control. In chapter 3, Krishna explains the anatomy of the different components of human life. So what are the different components of human life? We have gross body and we have subtle body. And within subtle body, there is mind, intelligence, and false ego. Okay? And then gross body consists of the senses, right? The eyes that you can see, the physical form of the eye, ears, nose, tongue, the skin, etc. So if you take these three components, senses, mind, and intelligence, there's a close connection between these three components. Krishna explains in 3rd chapter what is the anatomy or hierarchy of these three components. At the bottommost level, there are senses. Above senses, it is mind. Above mind, it is intelligence. So what is in the middle? In the middle, it is mind. Now to control mind, to achieve steady mind, that's our question, right? To achieve steady mind, we have to address what is there on the top and what is there at the bottom also. What is there above mind, what is there below mind. We have to address those two things. So what is above mind? Buddhi, intelligence. And what is below mind? Senses. So we have to address these two things also. Addressing mind alone is not possible. Because mind is like a lion. We cannot control the lion. Say I'll give you 3 scenarios. Where mind is compared to lion. The first scenario is, in fact, mind is more powerful than lion. Lion somehow, if you do some PhD degree in how to put a lion in cage, okay, with that PhD degree, you can somehow put the lion in a cage, okay. But mind, there's no such PhD degree. Even if there is one psychology, the psychologists are, one psychologist is going to another psychologist. So even they don't have control on their minds. So mind is more powerful than lion. Now, the 3 scenarios. Scenario 1 is, the lion is free and we are also free. Okay? Let's say in a forest, there's a lion that is freely moving around and you are walking. Second scenario, the lion is in the cage and we are free. Third scenario, we are in the cage and the lion is free. Now let's try to discuss the consequences of these 3 scenarios. First scenario, what is the first scenario? Both are free. Now what happens in that case? Huh? Yes, we are gone, finished. Mahaprasade Govinda. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavi. Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam. So lion will happily feast on us. That's the worst case scenario, dangerous, most dangerous scenario. We don't want that. Second scenario is, the lion is in the cage and we are free. Right? What is the consequence of that?
Best case scenario.
Best case scenario.
The wild is captured and we are free to do our
Yes.
live our life.
Very good. Best case scenario, and the lion is caged and we can move around freely. In fact, we can take a selfie standing in front of the lion. We can say hi, we can go around, we can do pradakshina, whatever you want. You can do that. You can dance in front of the lion. You can buy a lion mask from Dollar Tree store and stand in front of the lion. You can do all those things. That's the safest scenario. But is it possible? Is it possible to put the lion in the cage? It is possible if you do PhD degree in that. But how many of us are ready to do PhD degree? It's very difficult. It's the best case scenario, I agree. But it's very difficult to put a lion in the cage. It requires proper training and many years of practice. It's not very easy for common men. Now let's come to third scenario. What is third scenario? We are in the cage and let the lion be free. So we be in the cage means, what is that? The senses basically. Okay? So the lion and the person. Lion is mind, person is the senses. In the first case scenario, both are free, most dangerous. Second case, the lion is in the cage, mind is in the cage, senses are roaming around. There is no harm. As long as the mind is in the cage, is controlled, disciplined, even if the senses are free, there is no danger. Third case scenario, the senses are in the cage and the lion is free. The mind is free. It is not the ideal scenario, but still, it's somewhat happy situation. And it is practical. It is practical to put the senses in the cage. It is practical to control the senses. That's why Krishna says in that shloka in 3rd chapter, Tasmatvam indriyan yadav niyamya bharatarshaba. Adav means beginning, first, to start with. Okay? Start with indriya. Tasmatvam indriyan yadav. You start addressing this problem first with senses. And what is that technique there? Niyama. control, restriction, restrain, sense control. You control the senses, just like a tortoise. We discussed that shloka in second chapter, right? Kurmongani va sarvashah. Kurmongani va sarvashah. Indriyan indriyartebhyah. Tasya prajna pratishta. What is the first line? 2.59, I think. No, 58, 57, 58. Yada samharate chayam kurmongani va sarvashah indriyan indriyartebhyah tasya prajna pratishtita. Yeah. So we have to stay like a tortoise. Just like how a tortoise withdraws the limbs under the shell, that is the cage. When we see danger from outside, we have to withdraw our senses. Or the best thing is not even go into the dangerous places. Okay, like Vegas. If you go to Vegas and expect to control senses, it's not possible. So the best solution is don't even go to Vegas. That is like putting the senses in the cage. It's possible. And if the senses want to go on vacation, you go to a nature places. Go to Mount Rainier, go to Lake Chelan, or go to Lake Tahoe. So there, you'll not jump into the lake, right? Where in Vegas, you'll jump into that ocean of senses, of sense enjoyment. Vegas is an ocean of sense enjoyment. So it's very likely that you will jump into that ocean. Whereas if you go to nature places, you will just enjoy the beauty. You will sit there, it's serene, calm, peaceful, quiet. You can do some meditation, you can do some japa, you can do some reading, you can have nice family time, time with friends, and then come back. So this is like putting senses in the cage, which is practical, easily doable. So that is for the senses. For the senses, it is regulation. That is the technique. And for what is above the mind, intelligence, buddhi. We have to sharpen the buddhi by studying scriptures. Bhagavad Gita, Ramayana, Srimad Bhagavatam, and so on. So it's a three-step process. Here Krishna is saying, one who is not connected with Supreme, one who is not connected to God, can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind, without which there is no possibility of peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? See, there are some people who are trying to control their mind, but they are not connected to God. And they don't achieve perfection. They don't achieve steady mind, they don't achieve peace, they don't achieve happiness. They may be able to practice for some time, but after that, they'll fall down or they will try something else. Okay? So here the key point is one who is not connected with the Supreme in this process of controlling the mind, in this process of controlling the senses. The key point is getting connected with God. So let's read the purport. Sanjay, you still there?
Yes, Prabhuji.
Yeah. Will you be able to read this? Let me share the screen.
Okay.
Yes, go ahead and read this.
Unless one is in Krishna consciousness, there is no possibility of peace. So it is confirmed in the 5th chapter that when one understands that Krishna is the only enjoyer of all the good results of sacrifice and penance, that he is the proprietor of all universal manifestations, and that he is the real friend of all living entities, then only one can have real peace. Therefore, if one is not in Krishna consciousness, there cannot be a final goal for the mind. Disturbance is due to want of an ultimate goal. And when one is certain that Krishna is the enjoyer, proprietor, and friend of everyone and everything, then one can, with a steady mind, bring about peace. Therefore, one who is engaged without a relationship with Krishna is certainly always in distress and is without peace. However much he may make a show of peace and spiritual advancement in life, Krishna consciousness is a self-manifested peaceful condition which can be achieved only in relationship with Krishna.
Yeah. Krishna in 5th chapter, he gives peace formula. 5.29, chapter 5, shloka number 29. Bhoktaram yajna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhrudam sarva bhutanam jnatva mam shantim richati. So in the previous shloka, that's what Krishna talked about, right? Nāsti buddhir ayuktasya. No, in the current shloka. Nāsti buddhir ayuktasya cāyuktasya bhāvanā cābhāvayataḥ śāntir aśāntasya kutaḥ Sukham. So without peace, there is no happiness. So how to achieve that peace is by having a steady mind. And that Krishna explains in 5th chapter, 5.29, the peace formula. The peace formula is to accept Krishna as the ultimate enjoyer, Bhoktaram. He is the ultimate enjoyer, Bhoktaram yajna tapasam. He is the enjoyer, benefactor of all the austerities, sacrifices, yajnas, everything. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. He is the controller of all the planets. Sarvaloka Maheshwaram and Suhrudam Sarva Bhutanam. He is the best friend and well-wisher of everybody. So this is a three-point peace formula Krishna gives in 5th chapter. Now it may look a little off of the topic, right? We are discussing about peace and happiness and steadiness of mind. And Krishna is telling that accepting Krishna as the Bhoktaram, Yajna Bhoktaram, Sarvaloka Maheshwaram, Suhrudam, and Krishna is calling that as the peace. How is that possible? So if we go, if we take a deep dive into that shloka, the reason why we are always agitated, why the mind is always agitated is we want to enjoy. We think we are the master. We want to enjoy. We want to control. We want to enjoy. That's why the mind is always agitated. We think we are the God. We want to enjoy. We are the master. Everybody wants to serve me. And because we have this mentality of controllership, enjoyership, we have the desires. We exploit the nature. We exploit everybody in fulfilling our desires. And not all the desires can be fulfilled. So we get angry, and eventually we will lose intelligence and we will fall down. But if we accept Krishna as the ultimate enjoyer, or if we accept Krishna as the sole enjoyer, he is the only enjoyer. I am the servant and he is the only enjoyer. And he is the controller. He is the controller, enjoyer. But here is a beautiful point, the third point. By saying he is the controller and he is the enjoyer, Krishna is not saying he is the dictator. That's the mentality of dictator, right? If Krishna said only the first 2 points, I am the controller and I am the enjoyer, then there is no difference between Hitler and Krishna, right? That's why Krishna added the third point. Krishna is the ultimate genius. You can never find any flaw in his philosophy. So even if you spend your entire lifetime, even a perfect Sanskrit scholar reads Bhagavad Gita and turns to churn it in different ways, there's no possibility. Okay? So Krishna said these first 2 points, then somebody may question that, oh, there's no difference between Hitler and you. Hitler also saying, I'm the controller, I'm the dictator, I'm the enjoyer. You just work for me. Or Alexander the Great also said the same thing. There's no difference between Alexander and you. You are saying Krishna the Great, and Alexander said Alexander the Great. There is no difference. That's why Krishna said in the third point, Suhrudam Sarva Bhutanam. I am the best friend and well-wisher of everybody. That is not true in case of Hitler and Alexander. They are not the well-wisher and true friend of everybody. They are the true friend and well-wisher for themselves only, not for everybody, not for others. But here, Krishna is saying, I am the true friend and well-wisher, best friend and true well-wisher of everybody. That means, even though he is saying he is the enjoyer, but what does he do? If you offer something to him, he will give it back to you. In fact, he will add more and give it to you. He'll add something more and give it to you. In Vishnu Sahasranama, there is a shloka. Brahmanyam sarva dharmajnam lokanam kirti vardhanam lokanadham mahadbhutam sarva bhuta bhavodbhavam. Lokanam kirti vardhanam. Lokanam means of all the people in this loka, of all the people in this world. Vardhanam, kirti vardhanam. That means Krishna has that name, Lokanam Kirti Vardhanam, which means he increases the prosperity of everybody. He increases the prosperity, happiness, name, fame, joy of everybody in this world. That's the meaning of Lokanam Kirti Vardhanam. If Krishna wants to be like a dictator, he wants to be the controller and enjoyer only, and not the true friend and well-wisher, he will not be given that name, Lokanam Kirti Vardhanam. So we could have called him as Loka. He could have called him as Atma Kirti Vardhanam, self. He wants to increase prosperity for himself, name and fame for himself. But he is Lokanam Kirti Vardhanam. So only for namesake he says, I am the controller, I am the enjoyer. But he gives everything to us. He shares everything to us. The reason why Krishna stole butter from gopis' homes, what is the reason? Yes, he wanted to distribute the butter to his friends and monkeys also. So whatever prosperity Krishna has, he shares with everybody to show that he stole butter from gopis' homes. So he's the Robin Hood. He's a real Robin Hood who steals but gives that wealth to everybody. So if we accept him in that position, who is the enjoyer, who is the controller, but he is the well-wisher and best friend, then we'll have peace. But as long as we think we are the master, we are the enjoyer, we are the controller, we will not have peace. We will be agitated, the mind will have so many desires, and we cannot fulfill those desires, and total destruction. So the best thing is accept him as the enjoyer and utilize everything in his service. If you are good at something, okay? Like for example, she is good at Sanskrit. She can use that Sanskrit skill in reciting stotram, shlokas, singing nice kirtans and bhajans. Or if you are good at making garlands, you can make garlands. If you are good at cooking, somebody is good at cooking. They can cook for God. So like that, whatever skill you have, whatever property you have, whatever wealth you have, use in the service of the Lord. And if you are good at garland making, you offer a garland to him. What is he going to do? The next day you will get it back. Bhagavan will add his mercy in that garland and you will get it. So rather, if you make a garland for yourself, will that give happiness? No, right? Rather, you make a garland for him and next day you receive as his prasada, as his mercy. That gives more happiness to you. So we have to accept him as our enjoyer, accept him as the enjoyer, Bhoktaram and Sarvaloka Maheshwaram. Then that is the peace. So here Krishna is saying, how can there be any peace without, and how can there be any happiness without peace? So first we have to achieve this peace, the peace formula. That's what Prabhupada wrote in the purport about 5.29. He is the real friend of all living entities. Then only one can have real peace. Another reason why we don't have peace of mind is insecurity. Constantly we are facing this insecurity, problem of insecurity. So what's going to happen? This anxiety is there. Anxiety, insecurity. What will happen? I have a job today. What will happen tomorrow? I have my stocks. My portfolio is good now. What will happen tomorrow? My health is in good condition today. What's going to happen tomorrow? What's going to happen to my children's future? So there are so many problems. And there's a constant feeling of insecurity, anxiety. But as long as we have this faith that Krishna is our true friend and well-wisher, then that is the biggest insurance policy. That is the biggest insurance policy we can invest in. And we'll have security. We'll have peace of mind, no anxiety. We'll have faith that Krishna will protect. Even if I don't have job, it is Krishna's plan and Krishna will protect me. He will provide me the basic necessities. And even if my health is deteriorating, Krishna will take care of it. Even if something is happening to my kids, Krishna will take care. So anything that happens in life, if we have the faith that God will take care of us, then that will give us peace of mind. And that's the fact. It's not just a theoretical statement, right? That's the fact. We just have to put our faith in that. It's an absolute truth. It's not just a fact, but it's an absolute truth that God protects us. It's an absolute truth. We just have to develop faith in that statement. So, and that faith comes if we see Krishna in some relationship with us. If we try to establish a relationship with him, then it is easy to develop faith in that person. Not only Krishna, but any person in general. So we cannot develop faith on a stranger. There is a passerby. Can we have faith on that passerby? No. Only if we accept that person as a friend temporarily. Temporarily you accept him as a friend. You assume him as a friend. Assume x equals to 0 in mathematics, right? You start with an assumption. Assume x tends to 0 or something. And then you do so much of math and then eventually you prove whether it is true or false. But the first step is you assume. You assume that person as your friend. You assume Krishna is your friend. And in that relation, you follow some process and then you will develop faith. The process is Shravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, Archanam, Padasevanam, Atmanivedanam, Padasevanam, Vandanam, Dasyam, Sakyam, Atmanivedanam. These 9 processes, even if you follow at least one process. For example, Shravanam, hearing. The more you hear about a person, the more faith you will have. That's why starting from 7th chapter onwards in Bhagavad Gita, Krishna starts explaining about himself. The chapter is titled as Knowledge of the Absolute Truth. Jnana Vijnana Yoga, knowledge of the absolute truth. So, and there Krishna uses a word in 7.1, chapter 7, shloka number 1. Krishna says, Maya sakta mana partha yogam yunjan madashrayah asamshayam mahabaho. No. Maya sakta mana partha yogam yunjan madashrayah There is something in the third line, but the fourth line is the most important thing. Fourth line, Krishna says, Tat Shrunu. Tat Shrunu. Just hear. Shrunu means hear. You just hear about me. Because Krishna is trying to help us establish faith in him. And he is explaining about himself. Now, who can explain better about Krishna other than Krishna? Only Krishna can explain. That's why he is doing that job. So, Tat Shrunu. Just hear. So, the more we hear, the more faith will develop on Krishna. And the more faith we have, we will feel secure in his relation. Okay? In the relationship with him, we'll feel secure. Okay? And that is a real peace. 68. 67. Yeah, it's a small shloka we can discuss. Shloka number 67. Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano nuvidhiyate tadasya harati prajñam vayurnavam ivambasi. As a strong wind sweeps away a boat on the water, even one of the roaming senses on which the mind focuses can carry away a man's intelligence. Unless all of the senses are engaged in the service of the Lord, even one of them engaged in sense gratification can deviate the devotee from the path of transcendental advancement. As mentioned in the life of Ambarish Maharaja, all of the senses must be engaged in Krishna consciousness, for that is the correct technique for controlling the mind. Indriyanam hi charatam yanmano nuvidhiyate tadasya harati prajñam vayurnavam ivambasi. Now, when we present this topic of sense control to people, right? Sometimes people think that, okay, there are 5 senses. If I control 4 senses and 1 sense, even if I am not able to control, I'll be okay. Because I have taken care of the majority, so the minority is not going to cause any danger. But it's not going to work like that. Krishna is saying, even if one of the senses is not controlled, that can destroy a person completely. That can destroy a person completely. Why? Because if one of the senses is not controlled, I'll give an example with the 4 regulative principles. Within ISKCON, there are 4 regulative principles. Not only ISKCON, in many spiritual organizations, there are 4 regulative principles that it's mentioned in the Shastras, basically. Okay. The 4 regulative principles are, okay, yeah. No meat eating, no intoxication, no gambling, no going to casinos and those things, and no illicit affairs. And if somebody says that, okay, I'm able to control 3 of them, is there a danger if I'm not able to control 1? Yes, because if we are violating 1, we are likely to violate others also. So the meat eating, if we violate that, slowly we will start doing intoxication also. So 1 leads to other. 1 leads to the second one, second leads to the third one, third leads to the fourth one, and slowly we will violate all 4 regulative principles. So that's why Krishna is saying, even if one of the senses go astray, then it will lead to total destruction. Vayur navam ivambasi. It's like air. It's like air which is not controlled. Air is everywhere, right? If we leave even one of our senses engage in whatever the way the sense wants, then that's a total destruction. Okay, so I think that's good for today. 68, 9, 70, 71, 72. Yeah, next week we'll finish this chapter. So any questions, comments, reflections?
Okay, do you treat tea and coffee also as intoxication? Intoxication.
Yeah, that's what it is mentioned in the Shastras. But it is, initially at least a person should restrain himself from alcohol. Intoxication means the biggest, see, there is a big I and small I. The big I, intoxication, the big I is alcohol. Small I means the alphabet I. Okay, intoxication, I for intoxication. The small I is tea, coffee. Tea, coffee and Coke, Pepsi, all these things. There's a less damage because of that. But yes, eventually we should avoid tea, coffee, all these things.
What is intoxication?
But first,
what is intoxication?
Intoxication means a person gets addicted. Person gets addicted to drinking alcohol. Person gets addicted. That means you cannot live without that.
I took it as initially when you said first intoxication, I thought like which makes our brain illusion or like.
No. Yeah, that is also kind of intoxication. Like if you take drugs, right? Yeah, that is what happens. Yeah. So those are all the big I's. The alcohol, drugs, and all those things are the big I's. So we have to address those first. We have to definitely restrain ourselves from those. And then, because see, in India, the British has introduced tea and coffee. And every day morning, there is no single home in India that goes without tea and coffee. Now, if you ask them all of a sudden, hey, you cannot, if you want to do bhakti, you cannot drink tea and coffee. No, it's not going to work like that. That's going to be tough, right? So, but eventually, slowly, we have to get there. But even if you are not able to get rid of tea and coffee, don't worry. You can still continue. You are perfectly qualified to continue to do bhakti. Yeah, there's no problem. Yeah. In fact, that is the only restriction in ISKCON. If you go to Sri Vaishnava Sampradaya or any other Sampradaya, for example, Madhva Sampradaya or other Sampradayas, there's no restriction on tea and coffee. In fact, if you go to any temple in India or even in US actually, other temples, for example, long time ago, I went to Pittsburgh Balaji temple. So as soon as you take darshan and come down into the basement, there's a cafeteria. There's a tea and coffee they're selling there. And
even ISKCON Redmond, we had a feast or something a couple of months back. There was tea, I think, but that was only for volunteers, I guess.
No. That is herbal tea. Herbal tea. Yeah. No caffeine. No caffeine in that. Yeah.
So Prabhuji, is it just caffeine focused or is it like intoxication? You said addiction.
Caffeine.
So chocolate is addiction. Should we think for addiction sometimes?
Yes. Chocolate also has caffeine. Yeah. There are some chocolates, very few, that don't have caffeine. Yeah. But most of the chocolates, they have caffeine. Yeah. But again, these are small I's. So don't worry too much. Don't even, feel guilty about it, and don't stress on this. Slowly and eventually, you will be able to get rid of it. Yeah. So in India, if you call a pujari to do some Satyanarayana Vratam or some puja at home, right? Huh? So the pujari will sit there and then And then while the family member, they are taking some time to cook food and get ready, right? They only will come and ask the pujari, or if they don't come and ask, pujari will ask, "Edamma chai edi?" Where is my tea?
Yeah, true.
So he'll be sitting there right in front of that whole setup where he's going to do puja, and he's going to drink tea and coffee. So
Even fasting people.
people who are doing fasting on Ekadashi and those days, they say, "I'm fasting," but they drink tea. What to do, British? Just play. Jai Shri Narayana. You want into class, huh? Darshan. Okay. But what to do? The British has introduced this. So don't worry too much about it, and slowly and steadily we'll win the race. Yeah. Okay. Nandra Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhuji. Hare Krishna.
Thank you. Hare Krishna. Happy drinking of coffee and tea.